say Lopez Island is the most chillest of all the San Juan Islands.
But what makes it stand out from the others? Let's check it out. If you didn't know, Washington State is home to some amazing islands. And at the top of that list are the San Juan Islands. Islands so stunning, the shooting of a pig was all that was needed to spark a war between the US and Great Britain for the right to claim them.
But beyond that wild history, the San Juans are also known for their magic, and we felt it on our first visit to the namesake island San Juan, and again on our second trip to Lopez Island, and on each we experienced it in a unique way. But having been told prior to our trip that Lopez Island is the most laid back of the San Juan's big three, we couldn't imagine what that experience would be.
We locked in our ferry slot early, trust us, you'll want to do it early, and made our way to the third and final island in our San Juan series, Lopez Island. Was it the most magical of them all? We were ready to find out.
Before we get into our experience, let's go over some facts about Lopez Island and how it stands out from San Juan Island and Lopez Island.
Located south of its previously named neighbors, Lopez is the smallest of the San Juan Island's big three. Still, with its size, the island boasts over 63 miles of beautiful and diverse shoreline.
Lopez's topography is flat terrain and less mountainous than Orcas. All of that lends to the island having a particular popular mode of transportation.
Also, agriculture is a big part of Lopez Island's identity. On the island, you'll notice a lot more farms and livestock than you would on the other two islands.
On paper, Lopez offers some distinct differences, but how would those differences present themselves in terms of experiencing the magic of the San Juan Islands?
Drive grade. Although each island offers unique experiences, one thing that remains the same is getting to them. Apologies to those of you who have been following our San Juan series, because this next part may seem a bit repetitive.
But for the ones joining us on our journey to the San Juan Islands for the first time this episode, we think it's important to recap how to get to the San Juans via ferry.
And our biggest takeaways.
Coming from Seattle, the route we recommend is the Anacortes ferry. Anacortes is a little over an hour and a half drive from Seattle.
2 important notes. 1, you should book your ferry reservation online prior to your trip. The number 2 reason, and possibly the most important one of all, spots fill up quickly, especially during the spring and summertime. So book your tickets well ahead of time, which is up to 2 months prior to each sailing season. We learned this the hard way our first visit.
A couple other important things to note are, you're expected to be lined up no later than 30 minutes before your departure time. And while you hold your reservation online with the card payment, you are officially charged for your ticket once you check in at the ferry terminal.
For our trip to Lopez, everything was business as usual. The only difference with this ferry experience was, 1, it was shorter than the rides to the other islands. Coming from Anacortes only took around 40 minutes. And 2, you're not required to book a return ferry back to Anacortes.
There has been one major change since our last visit to the San Juan Islands. Well, at least with the show. We're talking about our new grade scales.
So, for this episode, we're going to base our grade on our experiences to the San Juan Islands overall, starting with drive grade.
Traveling to the San Juan Islands gets perfect scores in a bunch of criteria, like both points for the stunning views along the way, and both points for the abundance of roadside amenities.
With having the ability to travel between the islands, we can give 2 points for roadside attractions by just considering the post-Anacortes journey alone. And we never had any issues with parking on any of our visits, so both points there.
Now, we did have to take 1 point away for route difficulty, because it does take some planning and coordination to get to the islands.
Plus, we're still salty from the mistake we made on our first visit.
Still, the San Juan Islands against our new scale comes out with a great score of a 9 out of 10 for drive grade. Level of fun. First arriving onto Lopez was similar to our last visit to the San Juan Islands, in that we were hit with a totally new vibe as soon as we rolled off the ferry.
But based on our previous experiences, we knew the new vibe would most likely be a good difference, which was confirmed right away when we checked into our lodging accommodations.
Lopez Island offers a variety of lodging options, which include hotels, private cabins, a host of Airbnbs, and of course a lot of campsites. But where we chose to stay offered almost all of those.
Lopez Farm Cottages and Tent Camping, a beautiful resort that offers camping and private cottage rentals. Beautiful people, there is even variety in the type of camping they offer.
Yes, from traditional campsites to stylish wall tents for a more elevated outdoor experience. I could possibly go for that. But for this stay, we chose to do a private cottage.
Our cottage was perfect, not only because it was comfortable, but it also came with a mini fridge, sink, microwave, fireplace, and even a hot tub.
The king-size bed was my favorite. We were happy that we were lucky enough to stay here, and not only for the amenities, but also having the chance to experience this extraordinary place that comes with an extraordinary story.
The shorter version of Lopez Farm Cottages and Tent Camping will begin when the original owner and architect of the property was ready to retire. He chose to entrust ownership to an inspired and motivated couple who somehow stumbled across its listing out of nowhere.
They would tell you that it was almost like forces unseen drew them to the property. Whatever those forces may be, the results have been nothing but good, because from the time they assumed ownership, they have continued elevating the property where the original owner left off.
In fact, the property is a microcosm of everything Lopez has to offer, including a place where visitors can take in the beautiful scenery and get lost in the peacefulness. And oh yeah, they may even get a special visit from some really cool cats.
If you do choose to visit Lopez Island, we definitely recommend Lopez Farm Cottages and Tent Camping for your stay.
Once we got settled, we were ready to hit the island and find out just how Lopez compared to the other San Juan Islands. The first thing we did was lock down some preferred transportation around the island.
Because of Lopez's size and its flat terrain, bicycling is the most preferred mode of transportation on the island. Everywhere you go, bikers are a common sight.
For our bikes, we dropped into Village Cycles, a locally owned bike shop who is enthusiastic about connecting customers to the island's nature through cycling.
We rented a couple of their e-bikes and were on our way. It's easy to see that Lopez Island doesn't have a shortage of great options for visitors to enjoy, but one of the most pleasant surprises to us was the food and drink options on the island.
No lie, this island is a hidden gem in the food and drink game. Every meal at every restaurant was bomb, from Ursa Minor, which is owned by a James Beard nominated chef, to the Blue Heron Bistro, whose owners traveled the country for 2 decades, winning awards on the national food truck circuit.
Yes, the food was amazing everywhere we went. The same can be said for the wine. In fact, we were told that a visiting world-class sommelier said that the wine selection on the island was one that could rival Napa Valley.
While the food scene on Lopez Island was a pleasant surprise, the nature on the island was a more than welcome familiarity. One of our favorite bike rides was out to Spencer Spit State Park.
I'm not gonna lie, the route to the park on paper looked intimidating to your girl, but as it turned out, it was a breeze.
Again, they wore electric bikes.
Anyway, Spencer Spit State Park would be worth the manual effort. The 138-acre marine and camping park offers 2 miles of hiking trails as well as picnic tables.
Named for the sand spit on which it's located, the park offers some pretty spectacular views. What is a land spit? A land spit is a narrow strip of land that extends out into a body of water, usually formed by waves and currents moving sediment along the coastline in a process called longshore drift.
We will say that our favorite outdoor hike was on the west side of the island at Shark Reef Sanctuary. This was my perfect type of trail. Just a short 10-minute walk was all it took to get to some stunning views of the water.
And on most days, visitors are almost guaranteed to see or hear seal, otter, or sea lion who congregate on the rocks offshore. Shark Reef Sanctuary definitely provided a great hike and payoff, but it also provided us the opportunity to reflect on the San Juan Island's magic on Lopez Island, and if Lopez Island was more magical than the other two.
There was definitely something that stood out about the archipelago's magical feel on Lopez, and we felt it immediately upon arriving on the island. It was truly an internal feeling of peacefulness, lifting of any worries or concerns, a feeling of belonging. Lopez Island felt like an escape home.
There is no one sure answer to why this is a common feeling for many who visit this island. Perhaps it's the endless amounts of Lopez waves from passing strangers. Perhaps it's the abundance of nature. Some even say it could be the island's proximity to the Earth's magnetic poles. All we know is that our feelings were only confirmed by the multiple business owners and community leaders we spoke to throughout our visit, all who told the common story of coming to the island once and never wanting to leave. Some after first discovering its existence in childhood, some not until much later in life, and for some, even in a dream.
That's why to us, the most magical thing about Lopez Island that makes it stand out from the other two is the island's power to reach inside of you and draw you in once you're there. So, based on this visit, can we say that Lopez Island is in fact the most magical of all the San Juan Islands' big three? The truth is, not really. See, our biggest takeaway from our visit to Lopez is that it just confirms the fact that unique magic can be experienced in equal abundance on the San Juan Islands, no matter which island you visit.
So whether you choose to experience the San Juan Island archipelago via Friday Harbor on the namesake island for options that take you to the magic, or Orcas Island for options that bring the magic to you, or Lopez Island, where you're drawn towards the magic, we hope you choose to take a visit for yourself. Wait, you didn't think we forgot about the score, did you? Huh?
As with our drive grade score, we are going to score the San Juan Islands overall against our level of fun scale.
From whale watching in Friday Harbor to experiencing the amazing nature all over Orcas and Lopez, it's not a surprise that the San Juan Islands get max points for quality of activities.
As usual, the variety and abundance of options lend to there being something for someone of every age group and demographic, so we can give both points for demographic applicability.
Even if we want to consider San Juan Island's amazing dishes, or the fact we also encountered food from another James Beard nominated chef on Orcas Island, the amazing meals on Lopez Island alone could be enough for us to give both points for quality of restaurants.
Thanks to events such as the Tour de Lopez and the Orcas Film Festival, we can give 2 points for special events.
The one thing about the San Juan Islands is that it's a little bit more on the pricier side compared to the rest of Western Washington, so only 1 point for affordability. But we can say that all of the locations and activities we covered within this episode all provided some affordable options.
Once again, the San Juan Islands did extremely well against another one of our new scales, coming out to a 9 out of 10 for level of fun.
Comfortability for Black people. On both of our previous visits, both the namesake island and Orcas Island scored really well against our old scale. But now, considering our Lopez Island experience, how would the archipelago do against our new scale overall?
No suspense that we are giving both points in regards to our personal feelings of comfort, being that it had been off the charts throughout all of our visits, especially with our last visit to Lopez Island.
Yep, thanks to the people and also the nature. Because you know, there's that one thing we always say about nature.
Nature loves Black people.
Yep, that's it. Believe it or not, we actually saw a fair share of other Black people on all of our visits. Well, more than we would expect for islands within a county with a Black population of less than 1%. And oh yeah, the mayor of San Juan's namesake island is Black. So both points for Black people seen.
We can also give both points in regards to visibility of artifacts of inclusion. Not only were these artifacts seen in the form of pride flags and Black Lives Matter signs, but also embodied in seeing the diverse representation of business owners we encountered throughout our time in the archipelago.
I mean, we can even give both points for access to cultural resource groups, as the county recently took action in providing more funding for access to this very topic. And finally, we can give both points in diversity of marketing of the destination. And that's not just because they're sponsoring this series, huh?
Just a quick scan of the Visitor Bureau's website, you can see diverse faces. And that feeling of feeling welcome translates into reality once you're there. You will notice many signs referring to being welcomed or referencing peace.
It's truly not surprising that this new scale in particular is the one the San Juan Archipelago scores perfectly against. And so, for the San Juan Archipelago islands of San Juan, Orcas, and Lopez, The score comes out to a 10 out of 10 for comfortability for Black people.
Well, there you have it. That concludes our TWB's exploration of the San Juan Islands, and we hope what you've seen inspires you to book a trip for yourself.
There's a reason why the original inhabitants, the coastal Salish peoples, held these islands in high regard. These islands are truly special. So if you do consider a visit, be sure to be mindful to limit your impact to the islands, such as respecting wildlife and leaving no trace. The locals call it loving the island like a local.
Even doing things like considering walking on the Anacortes Ferry and utilizing the local transportation on and between the islands. We must do all we can to help ensure that future generations can enjoy the magic of this amazing archipelago.
If you're looking for more information on visiting the San Juan Islands, check our description for links to the places shown in the episode and more.
Or you're always welcome to reach out to us directly either through email or any of our socials. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and series overall. Until next time, beautiful people, stay up, stay true, and do you.